Guys, listen up. As you get older, the best way to continue to look young, exuberant, and vibrant is to continue to take care of your skin. That's why I'm excited to have Teej Hanley as a sponsor of today's video. You heard me talk about them before, and you're going to continue to hear me talk about them because I believe in their products and the positive impact that they have on every man's life. Teej Hanley makes taking care of your skin so easy. They provide you with all the products you need and nothing that you don't. Every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. Lapeef family, I must admit, skincare wasn't always something I always focused on, but since I started using this system, I've seen improvements in the way my skin looks and feels. And you don't have to take my word for it. They have over 5,000 5-star reviews on their website from satisfied customers from around the world. I recommend you start with the level 1 system, which comes with all the basics: a daily face wash, an exfoliating scrub, an AM moisturizer, and a PM moisturizer. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teej Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off retail price, the ability to customize your box, pause or cancel at any time, and free US shipping. And because Teej Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click that first link in the description and you'll get 30% off the first box plus the free gift. Seriously, that's an amazing deal. Even though it's too early, as I often say, it's never too late. Click that link and get started today. Mic check, mic check.
Can y'all hear me?
Good mic.
All right, good mic, good mic.
Sound nice. Check 1.
All right, we're back. We are back. We are back. Apologies. We had a interruption, but we back nevertheless. So hopefully you guys that were watching are coming back in. I'll try to stall for about another couple minutes. We was having a great show. We was talking about integrity. Miles Monroe is the reference point of this discussion. I will be dropping that in part 1 and part 2 on where you can find the whole entire audio clip. So I'll post that in the chat. Shout out to him. So you guys still got that same energy, or you guys dialed down a little bit?
Yeah, my integrity wants me to tell the real truth, JR, what really happened, but
don't do this, Hank. Don't do this.
my morals and my integrity want me to do it, though, Lou. I mean, I got to be honest.
Or do you want to shame?
We bring in shaming back. We doing all that. We talked about it. Might as well put it into practice. Hypocrites now. Ain't that what the good message by Dr. Monroe said? Don't be hypocrites.
Okay. We need more is asking if it's a closed panel. I might drop the link for people to come. I'll drop the link for a few people to come on after we comb through the videos to add to the discussion. So I will drop it. If anybody's seen Balance, reach out to them, let them know. Come on back. Come on back. Guess I tried to seize the moment on us. That's my cue. I'm out. I hope that's not the case, but let's go ahead and keep it moving. Again, we are continuing this discussion. I'm just stalling a little bit, so if you see me just not saying anything, it's just to try to allow people to know that we are still cooking for the moment. Jordan Landry, appreciate all the work you're doing. Ed Hill, Mr. Renegade, Mr. BX87, Chelsea, I sent you the link. Make sure you check it out. Marquise Keys, this is all the Green Gang. If you want to become a part of the Green Gang, that link is still pinned to the top of the chat. Come on and go green. We do have Trigger Mike show in the morning at 11:15 a.m. The Solution show is cooking tomorrow as well. That's on the Lapeef Experience page, to make sure you guys tap in for that. And it's going to be a full week. See what changes are being made and what shows look like what. Who's going to be on Thursday?
That,
I meant to
that
tell you, man. He did.
$45,000 a year conversation is that was a good one.
What?
The Trigger Mike,
I'll trigger one.
Yeah, the $45,000. I gave him my perspective, and I actually broke it down to him too. That was an interesting take.
Oh, yeah.
You did a good job Thursday, man. I meant to tell you that, Trigger Mike.
I did a good job.
Yeah,
he did. It was good.
Yeah, it was a little rough in the beginning. I mean, it was just like,
yeah. He had a lot of missiles coming at him.
what
And,
the hell is
Mr.
going
Let
on?
Go. Yeah, but he got his
I'm
composure.
talking about from the chat, not even from the panel, from the chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from the chat.
Well, the chat bangers are gonna bang, so
You gotta understand, whatever people are like, the chat is like money or power. It amplifies whatever you would say up here, So up here, you be like, yeah, it was good, I enjoyed it. In the chat, you're gonna say everything, You troll, you feel like a troll. It's a troll.
And I think what it was that JR was you and Anton was missing. So it's like, damn, what happened? It'd be different as one or the other, but both of y'all are like,
yeah,
I think it's a conspiracy going on.
They took a six that day.
Well, I didn't think anybody'd be missing me. I mean, I don't say nothing. So.
They thought you got lost in Area 51, JR. You got lost in Area 51.
No, it was planned. That time was supposed to be on. We had a conversation. Let me just switch it up a little bit. Let's just see what it looks like. So, and I do think it's important about putting people in position. It's always temporary. I mean, what you guys don't see and what I see all the time is that the panel has always been evolving and changing, and new people coming in have no clue who B Nix is, and Tawana.
I loved B Nix.
Yeah. We know.
I miss his perspective. Yeah.
And then some people don't even know about the Carmen and about the Gino.
Yeah.
That was just audio. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Some people don't know who Kayla, they know who Kayla is, but not to the network because they still see her, right? But you have to go back, and some people just start watching. They just keep moving forward. And then you got the very few people that just want to go back to previous episodes and see the 720 clarity and the 460 clarity. See back when it was back on Zoom and StreamYard didn't exist. So,
like, what's her name? Tawana.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah. So
it was like a DMX.
Yeah,
like a DMX song. Tawana, Wanda, Tanya, Yolanda.
Hey, that's when I was only rolling 4 deep, too, though.
Was that a loft?
Hmm?
Was that a loft? Like, I always liked the scenery you had, like that window behind you, the wall.
No, that was
that a loft?
No, I used to stay downtown Chicago.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the scenery you've seen in the back.
Yeah,
so,
that
was actually from my place, but yeah. So, but you got to switch it up every now and then, and I do think you have to put other people in position, and there's a lot of talented people. Got to mix it up. Sometimes our perspectives get stale. Keep hearing the same thing, so to put people in and switch people out, I think it'll be a good thing. So we'll see. You just never know who might see. Maybe you might see B Nix on Thursday. Who knows?
You know what I really like too? The Middle Eastern girl. Her name escapes me.
Amir?
Mayor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amira, I'm pretty sure she'll be on the panel sometimes. She comes on Bridging the Gap a lot, which is on the Lapeef Experience page, so you can see on there. She does speak about her culture, and that's with Kelly. She runs that one, so yeah, should be on. I'm pretty sure you'll see a lot of people. I am looking for new people, though. I'm looking for people that have a perspective that's not seeking for visibility, that's actually looking to do something different. You are going to see the conversations to become a little bit different as well, too. I think conversations have to evolve, and looking for the new wave of conversation and people to bring these perspectives. But the Lapeef Network is going to keep evolving. There's going to be some new things that you're going to be seeing, some things that is unheard of. So y'all stay tuned for that. Things are being worked, even though it may not appear to be that way, but things are always getting worked. My mind never rests, and I'm always thinking outside the box. So I think we're ready, though. I think we got enough people.
I was going to say, I even like this conversation. This conversation here is a different conversation. Like a lot of times we're speaking about relationship and stuff, and not to say that that's not important. I do think we need to talk about that because I think a lot of people don't know how to have relationship, not just, between girlfriend and boyfriend, but just in general. But I like this conversation too, because it's not, it's completely different from the relationship talk.
Yeah.
And needed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Why we have to have relationship talk is because as Black people, we're so far behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the sad part about it. We're so far behind that we're trying to play catch up and they're miles ahead.
Truth be told, this conversation to me, I think can lead to positive relationship. Mm-hmm. I think that's the problem. A lot of people lack integrity. They lack a moral compass. They lack so many of those grounding, basic character development skills that make it difficult for you to be in relation with anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I know it was my fault, JR. I know it was a good conversation because it made me uncomfortable, man. It made
you talking
me
about here right now today?
Yeah. It made me.
Why is that, Jay? Let's talk about that. Let's get deep.
I mean, you start to think about yourself, he's making all these points about certain things and where you might have looked at yourself a certain way, and he mentions something that you're not doing or you might have done or you might be still doing, and I'm like, man, I wonder if I change that, what will my results be? Or maybe I need to investigate that, so I think progress is never easy, so I'm supposed to be uncomfortable,
Is that like when you go to church and the pastor's saying something and you be like, oh Lord, he talking to me, right?
He's talking directly to me. Yep. Absolutely. Yo. Like
he's looking right this way.
Yeah. He's looking over the crowd, but you feel like he's staring straight at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like a spotlight on you, yo. Yeah.
You know you should have went out last night and did what you did, Jay.
That's what I was gonna say. Like they be like, yeah, you're partying on Saturday night up in the club, and then you're here Sunday morning. I'll be like,
still hungover,
sweating the alcohol out.
Yeah.
The whole congregation, you can smell a 1.2 alcohol level.
Right.
Hey, hopefully we ain't got no police officer in the congregation ready to lock my ass up as soon as I walk to the car.
You're on mute if you're talking to Jim.
Somebody asked was there a show today. So yeah, this is part 2. The first stream got ended, and our apologies on that one, but we're going to continue the conversation. Within about 2 minutes, I'm gonna kick it back up, so we just having a little bit of small talk. But I do think these conversations are necessary. And once I learned about integrity, it made me feel uncomfortable too, Jay, because I didn't really subscribe to it. It's like you have a form of integrity, but you don't really understand how deep it really goes and how it plays off into you just being a man. Even when you come on these panels, like a lot of people are kind of skeptical of listening to certain people because they lack integrity. Like they don't have good character. And so sometimes I sit back on these panels, I'm soaking up information from you guys. Everybody has said something that I've learned something. Hink, Mistaken, Golden Court, Luis, Jay. And I think that's what it's all about. We can come together and we can just be who we are. Maybe we may learn something. Who's to say that our method is better than the others? I mean, even if you're not religious, then you may hear something that may make you want to become religious. Maybe you might want to read the Bible, and then not be forced. So I just think all conversations are welcome, unless you're just saying something that's just crazy, right? And that I just totally don't subscribe to. But everything is welcome. But that integrity is deep, man. He's gonna Miles Monroe is going to say some things on this back end. It's like, man, he has a point. He has a point. So hopefully the goal is for you guys to look at this. We're going to continue part 2 in about 30 seconds. I promise you. I'm just looking at the chat while I'm having this
So, am I
conversation.
understanding this correctly? You can't have character without integrity, right?
Yeah, I think that integrity is the foundation of character. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's true or not, but the way that I correlate the two, they're connected.
Mhm.
And I believe the integrity is the foundation for the character. And a character can definitely change as you develop character, the more set in integrity you have. So when people say, oh, once I don't know, a liar, always a liar, once a cheater, always a cheater, once a thief, always, I don't necessarily subscribe to that, because I think everybody has the ability and the opportunity for growth. The difference is if you, as the individual, think that you need to change. It begins and ends with you. So if you don't feel it necessary to change, then you will continue to do what you do. But once you come to that self-actualization and realization that you want to develop and do better, then I think that's when you can begin to set a new, dynamic for yourself and begin to build better character. But the actions definitely have to align, because if you have so many previous past actions, it's going to take double the work for people to see a history or longevity, to create a new history of character and integrity.
Excuse me.
All right, here we go, y'all. Let's go ahead and get this clip that was cut off. Did you guys hear that entire clip last time, or they got cut off too?
Yeah, I think it got off too.
Okay. All right. I was going to play anyway. I just was curious when it got cut off. Right,
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Here we go.
Trust is integrity.
Hold on. That might be wrong. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Yeah, that was wrong. Here we go right here.
Last one. Character is simply integrity. Now look at integrity and look at integrate. They're the same word. Integrity means you are one with yourself. That means your word is always good. You say what you said, you do what you said, and then you act what you said. That's holiness. So wearing a long dress or a white collar with a purple shirt turned backward with a big chain in your pocket is not holiness. Wearing a long robe with a turban on your head doesn't impress me. I want to know if one person is under that robe, just one. You can call me, you can bring your card to me and show me all your titles. Right Reverend, Honorable Bishop, Eternal, Sacred Man of God. I don't care what you say. I still don't trust you. I don't. Because I don't know which one of you I'm talking to. That's why the Bible says, know them that labor among you. Don't just bring anyone into your church to preach, even if they are on TV.
All right, that was the clip. Let's go ahead and break it down. What are your thoughts? Everybody's going to be quiet. Go ahead. Go to court.
No, I mean, because that was kind of like, I guess, answering my question about does, integrity and, character, is it one and one? And that's pretty much what he's saying. Like you have no, or you pretty much what I'm understanding as you have no character without integrity. Like that is the foundation. And without that, what kind of character are you portraying? Like, are you a thief? Are you a criminal? So integrity does play a huge role in, your character and how you, carry yourself. And just hearing these videos, it's like, wow, it's such an eye opener, because it definitely puts it, in perspective in a different way that I, would think of it. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really powerful. One of the things that I want to kind of highlight that he said it was, don't tell me about your accolades, you're a reverend, you're a man of God and all this and that. He was essentially telling me, I want your actions to align with your words. A lot of people say a lot of things, and a lot of people claim to prescribe to certain doctrines or ideas, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't preach what they say. And I think that making sure that your words align with your actions and you're very integral in that effort really shows your character, really shows that you stand on what you say and you are representative of what you are about. And I think that shows up in, the way you consistently show up in people's lives.
All right. Anybody else want to chime in on that one in particular?
Yeah, I mean, what I got from it is he was saying like you can't rest on your laurels. Whatever you did before kind of doesn't matter. What are you doing now? What you're doing now is where you start your credit with me. Like your action is going to be determined by what I see your actions from here forward. I don't care about where you came from, what your degrees are, what your accolades are. You're going to have to show me something for me to believe it. I'm not believing what is listed behind you, and I mean, it's tough because, and I mean, I guess as a man, that's kind of what you have to do. You have to be ever evolving and always kind of redefining yourself. I usually say every 10 years, maybe every 5, I say maybe every 5 to 7 years. As a man, there are things that you have to unlearn. There's a shift in what's important, and you have to evolve, or you get left behind.
Yeah, to build off of what Jay was saying, because that portion kind of stuck out to me too when he was talking about, I don't care that you have a long robe on or what have you. That's the uniform, right? And a lot of times the uniform is supposed to give credibility, right? But I think people confuses the credibility. That credibility doesn't equate to integrity. So like you go to a doctor, there's a level of trust that you have, like an established credibility, because they've gone through a certain level of training, and that you automatically give them a level of credibility that they know what they're doing. But it does not mean that credibility equates to having good character or integrity. So that part is more of showing and proving. So I'm automatically going giving you credibility based on, like you said, the accolades, seeing the diploma, seeing all of these things. But I can't necessarily determine if you are a person of integrity until I see the results, right? So I think sometimes the credibility can be misconstrued with having integrity. That was kind of what I got from that.
Well, it seemed like, what I got from it sounded like action speaks louder than words. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it says to me in a nutshell. I don't care about what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. If your actions lining up with what you say, and if they're not, then yeah, I'll judge and I'll move accordingly. Mm-hmm. So,
what's going on, Tyranny? What you got on this?
Hey, you guys. What's up? So, for one, I like the topic, because integrity is a word that we haven't really heard lately, right? Like, who really goes around hearing the word integrity? Just like who goes around hearing the word virtuous? I know that a lot of people feel like, because we're a man, or that you're older, you feel like you've gained the title of a man or gained the title of a woman. But really, it's your integrity, your character that you build onto to become who and what you are. Just because I'm 30 years old doesn't make me a woman. Just because I have children and I didn't, get rid of them or kept them, mean I have integrity. It's the things that we build up on in our 30 years of life that gives us that title and that badge.
Okay. All right. Anybody else before I move on to this next part?
All right, be attracted to charisma. Seek out character. Your life is the weight of your words. See, that's the problem with us. We think that we are impressed by our language, you know, these deep things we say and how good we can speak and preach and how we can, hallelujah, yes, Lord. Listen, brother, you ain't got no life. You know, it's like a guy who sells diamond, but he ain't wearing none. Never trust a salesman who don't use what he's selling. I am a good father to my children, so you could believe my words. Let me put it this way. There's no such thing as a private life. So don't you ever tell people what I do in private is none of your business. It is my business because it determines whether I trust what you say publicly. It's called character. As a matter of fact, I have come to the conclusion that a person of character doesn't need to talk. They just show up. When I first met Nelson Mandela, it was the most overwhelming moment in my life. My God, when I saw him, I saw character on two legs. He didn't have to speak. Do you know why? He went to prison for 18 years plus 7 and never changed his conviction. That's why you respect him.
All right, so we just dove a little bit deeper in this whole, he's still talking about character. What do you guys' thoughts about that, hearing that?
No, I just love the point where he was like, never trust a salesman that doesn't wear the product. And I could just give the example when I go to the, nail salon and I see all of the nails ladies in there. None of them, majority of them do not wear, the nails and the false nails or whatever they're, given the service in that, environment. So that really was like profound to me. I'm like, wow. So you just really have to, be careful of where you're, getting the information and, and where you're applying it. But I really love that he said, just be careful with who you getting, that from. I don't know if I understood that correctly, but that just resonated with me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Taryn.
Yes. Like, for example, that made me think of when Madonna, the singer, how she stated that she grew up with no television at all. She never watched TV, yet she is the very person on TV promoting negative things. And if we're talking about character, we have to look at, these conversations are great, but in reality, if we actually went off of what we were saying about integrity and character, then half of women, over 95% of women, wouldn't listen to the women artists that they do. Because none of these women artists have any integrity or any character. And the moment that you speak about their integrity, their lack of, then there's this thing called beehive that will attack you for it. We're not really holding each other accountable for these females. One thing that I had learned recently, which I'm glad you opened up the word Bible, because that's my base, that's my foundation, which is Proverbs 11:22, where it said that a beautiful woman with no sense is like a gold ring in a pig's snout. Now, that's cool. It's not cool, but it's like, wow, a beautiful woman with no sense is like a gold ring, and gold is awesome, right? We don't want silver, we want gold, but in the nose of a pig. So we can say that, like, I love integrity, I love character, but we're idolizing things that is actually having the opposing view of that.
All right. Go ahead, go to Corey. You want to say something else?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that just goes back to that person's character and, what they value. But yeah, that's all I wanted to throw in there.
Would it be safe to say that a lot of the things that are thrown out there in forms of marketing, in forms of entertainment, are all things that lack character or lack integrity? And I think that it's up to the receiver to decipher whether they should prescribe to that, right? There's a lot of content that is out there. You know what I'm saying? So You have to be mindful of what you digest and what you take in, you know, and be able to kind of filter through that and see what best applies to you.
But see, I would disagree just because I have children and unfortunately I have to work and I don't believe in women working. I believe we should be able to do nothing and go shopping all day. But because I have to work, I can't teach my kids all day, right? So we pay our tax money to people and expect them to be leaders. Our tax money went to Beyonce's concert, believe it or not. So it's not, I can't be like, oh, well, my 4-year-old daughter should know better. And as much as I teach her, and I have a son too, 2 sons, I can't, no, we have to hold the people that's giving the message accountable. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but one of the things that understanding that the rhetoric and the messages that come into your home via your child, what, like having that conversation, like, what did you learn today? And understanding what is it that they're being taught and what is it that they're being indoctrinated with, right? And you to be able to kind of step in and be like, oh, that's interesting. That's not fully correct. And you start to kind of navigate the conversations in instilling your beliefs, your teaching, and your understanding, right? Because there is a sort of rhetoric or doctrine that's being pushed to young children. But I think also understanding what is being disseminated upon them should be intercepted and corrected, and a conversation needs to be had about what that looks like and the proper teachings in its full context, right? And that happens at home. You know what I'm saying? That constant reinforcement happens at home. Nobody outside of your walls of your sanctuary should have more power and influence than you.
But do you get mad at the
teacher? Let me say this. As a parent, we shouldn't be looking to nobody else's leaders but the people in the home. We should be the first leaders that's out there, not celebrities, not anybody else. The first leaders it should be in your home, your father, your mother. Those are your leaders. Now, if you allow your kids to be overly influenced, then that's a problem. That's because you didn't teach your kids, hey, this is not real. This is not what it's about. You got to instill them morals into your kids so they can decipher what's real and what's fake, what to listen to or pay attention to, or what just to totally ignore, what to filter out.
So do you believe in children going to school?
Yes, I believe a child should go to school for 3 subjects: math, science, and English. That's it.
And history?
No.
Okay.
The school shouldn't teach them the history, not our history. That's what the parents are for. I said 3 subjects. The main 3 subjects that their kids should go to: math, science, and English. That's it.
Okay.
Everything else should be taught at home. I think kids stay in school way too much, but we understand why they do it. It's for a money grab, and most of these companies won't allow the kids to do that because the parents need some sort of daycare or child care provided, and that's what the kids' schools are for. Pretty much. After them first 3 subjects, that's what it's for. 4 hours should be spent in school. That's it. That 4th hour should be used for tutoring.
Okay.
For any kids who are struggling who need help.
But children are
let me finish. Provide them with a lunch and send them home. That's what school should be. I don't want them to teach my son history. No.
Okay.
I will teach my son the history because I can't trust what they're teaching him. I don't want the other electives they're going to teach him. I don't want them to teach him either. Now, if I want him to have some type of trade or skill, I will send him to a trade school.
Oh, okay. So children are in school at least 6 hours a day. So majority of their teaching comes from their teachers. So if your teacher told your son it is okay to put on a dress, do you hold that teacher accountable?
No, I hold the parents accountable.
I think we're kind of getting away from the conversation a little bit. I want to keep it. I want to keep this up on integrity. So let me go ahead and play this next clip so we can get through it, and let's just keep it on integrity so we can go ahead and finish strong.
Sorry.
The Bible says about parenting. The Bible says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Now, some of you don't know what that big word means, so I'll explain it to you. The word exasperate means to frustrate because of instability. You tell your child, don't smoke, and you are smoking. You are creating a monster in your house. Character protects your words. God is more concerned about your character than your dominating the earth. Character is God's prerequisite for dominion and rulership. Character is God's foundation for leadership. God says, look, before I give you power, let me give you the most important thing. Here's image. What is image? Characteristic. You are stable just like me. I could trust you with power.
All right, that's the next sound bite. What are your thoughts, Jay? Luis?
I mean, I was gonna get back to what Golden was saying. That he made reference to, I don't trust a salesman that's not using their own product, and it leads back to, you know, the initial conversation about image consultant. You know, these people that we look up to or that are pushed in front of us. You know, we may not look up to them, but they're pushed in front of us, are given images, you know, whether it's the hip hop artists that are telling us to be promiscuous, whether it's the women that are rapping about, you know, using a male while silently having a loving relationship, you know, whether it's the married woman, you know, to a football player, hint, hint, that's, you know, pushing out singles about being an independent woman and she did it by herself. You know, those are images that are presented because they know that they can get, that a lot of people are vulnerable in that way. So that's what's going to get people listening. And I mean, that falls into integrity. These people have no integrity. They know who to target so they can get the results that they want to get. So, you know, we have to counteract that. We have to have these conversations to counteract that. And I think the last point that he made was, which I wonder how y'all took what he said. He said, your life is the weight of your words. You know, that was something he mentioned. That was on the last clip. I wanted to bring that up. How did y'all take that? What did you get from that? Your life is the weight of your words.
I think that goes back to kind of what the underlying theme has been in terms of what he's saying is that you lead and live by example. You can't operate in one space differently than the other space. If your moral compass or your integrity is not going to allow you to move differently because it's just who you are. You're going to show up as that person regardless of where you're at. So there shouldn't be a different mistaken in public as a different mistaken in private. Now, it was something that he said that I disagreed with a little bit, and I might be taking it out of context or doing the nuance aspect of things. I think he meant in general terms. I'm assuming he meant in general terms of the person who you say you are, you're that person 100% of the time, right? But I do think that there is a different degree that like certain things that go on in your house or that is in your house should stay private because it's not just you. Like if I have issues going on with my kids, that doesn't mean I need to go and display what those issues are in public just to prove that I am who I say I am. That has nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So that little nuance for me was just a little different. But in terms of the person of who I am, how I show up in the world should be the same way that I show up at home. It shouldn't be two different people.
You know, there was the part that he said, You know, you can't tell your children not to smoke, but yet you are smoking in the house, right? It sort of gives a do as I say, not as I do. But people tend to do as you do because that is the prime example. You know, people tend to forget words, people tend to forget lessons, especially valuable ones along the way. But those lessons are always um, displayed in the form of actions, you know, actions and deeds in less words and lip service. And I think that for what he was kind of talking about that I took away was, you know, that value of presence, you know what I'm saying, being integral in what you do, seeing things through and showing up, you know, as a prime example. And I think that that is you know, that's something that we hope to see in the people who are in leadership positions, people who are mentors or people who are community leaders. They lead by example. You know, their words align with their actions. You know, as opposed to, you know, selling, you know, hopes and dreams.
I think I had mentioned before, like in previously on like either She Critique or one of the other shows, that growing up, I think that was one of the biggest issues. So growing up, me and my dad did not get along. And part of the reason was exactly what, he mentioned, was that, you can't be two different people. You can't, say, do as I say, and teaching me one thing, but then your behavior behind closed doors doesn't necessarily match the behavior that was in public. Like when I say we grew up in a church, I know like a lot of people grew up in church, right? So you get a grounding of what's right and wrong and stuff like that through, your religious indoctrination, right? So for us, that's what it was. And how we showed up in church as a family, the way that it looked on the outside was great. But behind closed doors, it was a hot mess. And so when my parents got divorced, everybody was shocked. Like they were completely shocked because of the way that we presented, outside was not what was actually going on behind closed doors. So I think that that's what, he meant in terms of it shouldn't have been such a huge difference between what we were taught in church and then what was actually seen behind closed doors. And I think we show up in a world with a mask on because we want people to perceive us a certain way, and that's not really who we are. But my thing is, if you're putting your best foot forward outside your home so people can perceive you in a positive light, then that should be the person that you take on when you're in a house. Because a lot of times we have a tendency to treat people better than we treat our own family, give them more respect, to a degree than we do our own family. We take, our family for granted in the sense that, oh, well, they know I love them. They know, but our actions don't necessarily always reflect that. So I definitely think that that's to the heart of being consistent in who you say you are.
Be careful of admiring people from the outside because you never know what's really happening inside.
All right. Let me get anybody else want to chime in before I go to this last one? Okay, here we go. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you guys are just tuning in, this is part two. Part one is up. So if you want to see this conversation in its entirety, make sure you go back and click part one. We do have a few super chats to acknowledge. AL $5. Also remember says school used to be optional, but that was when kids were working in factories or farms. So are you saying erase child labor laws too? Question mark. JD Cotto $20 says I have to drop something in the basket for this panel. Dedicated to my children's future. $10 member said this has become a constant as far as must-watch podcasts for me personally. I do not intend to ever miss a show. Thank you, panel and chat. Sunday Energy. Appreciate you, sir, and your support. Let's go ahead and get into this last one. Y'all make sure y'all listen up clearly. This is not a video. This is audio only. So listen up.
Things will test your character. Only three things. There are three things that will manifest your character. They will tell you whether you have character or not. Three things. The first one, power. When you give a person power, their character shows up. Number two, money. When you give a human a lot of money, their real self shows up. And number three, access to sex. If you give a human access to sex, their character shows up or their lack of it. Only three things. So if you want to know what a woman really is, give her power, money, and access to sex. You want to know what a man is really like? Give him power, money, and access to sex. And that is why every human on this earth that have ever failed was because of either power, money, or sex. Period. Character. The Bible says the race is not to the swift. See, you could be famous instantly, man. But in the kingdom of God, the race is not to the swift. Who gets to the top first? The race is to him who endures to the end. Will you still be around when I come back 10 years from now? Or will you still be the same person? That's the question. Queen Victoria is still there. 289 years later. She outlived every storm, every hurricane. I wonder if you'll still be standing when all the temptations have passed. The only way to test character is by temptation. Write it down. The word temptation is not a negative word. Tempering, to temper, write the word temper. To tempt or to temper means to test for weakness. That's all it means. You will never ever have a time in your life when you are free from temptation. Never. So get over it. Get used to it. Tempting will constantly be in your life to monitor your character. Character is as strong as the temptation you fell for.
Yo, it's kind of funny, man. I said that earlier before. You know, life is full of temptations. You know, there's temptations in the form of, you know, they'll sell you a car that does 135 miles per hour, but the speed limit is only 55, right? Because they know that there is the temptation to exceed beyond the limitations that are set by you. You know what I'm saying? There are gentlemen clubs all over. You know what I'm saying? There is that temptation to step inside and have a good time. There's always temptations. You know what I'm saying? The reason why they build fast food restaurants right outside of a gym, because they know that you're the most hungriest after your workout. So it is about that self-discipline, being able to look inside and not allow yourself to be derailed from what you say or what have you set for yourself in terms of your integrity. You know, I think that there are non-negotiable boundaries that you should always have, especially when navigating through this world, because there's always temptation right around the corner at every facet.
Ooh, that hit the spot right there. I had to write that down. That was a word for real, because I think what happens a lot of times when we get into what we were talking about earlier in the first part, we were talking about judgment and shaming and things like that, right? And a lot of times what happens, like when I look at these, you know, three things that he said that test your character, a lot of times when we are placing that judgment or feel the need to shame, it's typically in an area that we feel strong in. So we have the validity or feel like we have the ability to be able to judge somebody in that specific area. But there's always an area in which you may not measure up, right? And so when that's what I got from that, is that in that area that you're not measuring up, you're going to continually be tested in that area to show that this is an area in which you need to develop your character in, or to develop your integrity in, because you're not doing good. So a lot of us will be on these panels and we'll talk about certain things and we'll say, oh, you need to, you know, shame the woman for this or blame the man for that or what have you. But it's never about you having that self-reflection. And I think that's the biggest part to developing good character and integrity is always having that self-reflection. So if I'm judging this person according to whatever, am I living the same way that I'm telling them that they should live? And if I'm not, then before you're giving that advice, then you need to say, listen, I struggle in this area too. So I understand it, but this is the best way that you should go about doing it, as opposed to being like, you're wrong, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Like, that's where I think that negative judgment comes in, but it has to come from a place of, practicing, and we don't always get it right.
I used to tell my mom that at church, because every time a pastor say something she think is right, she'll look at me, you hear that? And I'm like, did you apply yourself? What do you mean? Did I hear that? Like, take accountability for yourself, when he was speaking on the 3 things to determine someone's character, power, yes, I absolutely agree. I mean, you see someone at Walmart that has power over the carts and they want to fine you for putting the cart in the other part, or don't park in a handicap. Like, calm down. You got a little bit of power. Now you're acting absurd. It's okay. You don't have to be a tyranny, money, we've noticed that too. People come up, they get their income taxes or they get that PPP loan and they don't know you no more. They're leaving you for the other race of people, or, then they're getting passports and getting out of the country. We've seen people do really crazy things once they have a little bit of cash, versus being humble and understanding that money is temporary. Money is not permanent, right? You can be rich today, stolen tomorrow, and then you over there in stop 6. No different. Now, when he said access to sex, I don't really understand that part. Maybe the man can help see what that means. When you give a man access to sex, then you're able to see his character.
I think what he was referring to, the sex part, was, there are, a lot of men don't have access to sex. And for those who have sort of either reached some sort of level of success or are starting to kind of blossom out, they tend to be gluttony in terms of how much sex they have, right? They almost become addicted to it. And sort of like even sex itself is a power tool, right? So, money, power itself, and then sex. Some people say, sex makes the world go around, right? And it does influence a lot of people's decisions based on their access to it.
Yeah, he was talking about men and women when it came to sex, so it's not just a man thing. I mean, you think about it, you put power, money, or sex in front of somebody's going to take the bait. So if you get them the option to do it, or if they had it, then you're going to see a completely different person. So it's like a way to test somebody. If you tell a woman or a man, I'm not giving you sex, then you will see what type of character they have.
Oh, but I'm not giving you sex. Understood.
Yeah. If you give somebody power, then you see what type of person. I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can bring it up right quick.
The only way to test character is by temptation. Write it down. The word temptation is not a negative word. Temporary, to temper, write the word temper, to the swift, who gets to the top first. The race is to him who endures to the end. Money and access to sex. And that is why every human on this earth that have ever failed was because of either power, money, or sex. Of it. Only 3 things. So if you want to know what a woman really is, give her power, money, and access to sex. You want to know what a man is really like? Give him power, money, and access to sex. And that is why every human on this earth that have ever failed goes up. And number 3, access to sex. If you give a human access to sex, their character shows up or their lack of it. Only 3 things. So if you want to know what a woman really is, give her power, money,
and the other way I took it in regards to sex is traditionally, or to my knowledge with men, our most clear thinking and truest feelings happen after we've been intimate with a woman. So, for instance, some men try to, you have your representative, or most people put their representative out there. After you have been intimate with that person, you have the most clearest thoughts. I forget what they call it. It's a term for it, like post-coital clarity. Yeah. Something. Yep. And that's the truth. I'm sure, the vast majority of us have been in a situation where we're thinking we want some person because our judgment is clouded by our, want to be with this person. A judgment is clouded by that temptation. And then once we've, acquired that, it's like, what am I doing here, man? I can't stand how she talks, how she does this, that happens. So I think that's how I took it, what he was speaking on in that instance.
Hold on 1 second. How to, man? I got you in the back. This is the last person I'm bringing up. Can you give me a salute back there? All right. What you got on it, sir? You on mute?
Sorry, I was on mute. Man, I kind of agree with my man whenever he said like post-coital clarity. Like, yeah, that fits into it. But I'm also led to remember a wise old saying I once heard. It's easy to be humble when you have nothing. If you want to see a man's true character, give him power. So, I think that's really revealing of who you truly are, but also absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So after you get something, some semblance of power, one of the things that can happen is that you start to believe that power more than you believe yourself. So it's a really tricky bag, but definitely like a woman giving up sex, she's gonna find out what she's dealing with quickly. But I think the thing that you want to do is you want to figure out who this man is before you even get to that. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think I think that does say a lot. Hold on real quick. I'm trying to got something else going on. Anybody else want to add to it or respond to How To Man, what he said? Everybody quiet or something like that. Y'all faded out?
Oh, nah. Nah. Yeah.
I'm sure this mic's still working.
Nah, but actually,
sorry.
No, you good. You good.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I like what How To Man said. I mean, it's really good as a woman to hear more on like what we should tell our daughters to look for in a man, because I mean, that's powerful when what you said, Lapeef Jr., about if you deny him access to
JR.
JR. Yeah, if you deny him access to it, then you're going to see how he really is. Does he really care about you? Or is he really just there for the moment? And I can see how that can turn into power. Yeah. So I like what you said, How To.
We're going to go ahead and get final thoughts. I know we've been actually streaming a little longer, but we just wanted to finish up. Anybody any final thoughts on this before we head out? Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You good. You good.
No, go ahead.
No, I just think, in relationships or when you're courting somebody, those should be factors. I mean, different circumstance. You're probably never gonna see them in every one of those instances, but you want to see some type of adversity. You want to see some type of ups and downs to determine how they'll react when they're in an advantageous situation or a disadvantaged situation. You want to see how they balance that. Are they balanced, or will it go to their head and then the whole relationship and the whole person changes? You want to see them in various weathered situations to determine if there's somebody you want to be with.
Yeah, Jay, I that's good. I also would extend that same thing with friendship and business. I think that although these are things that we could find in relationships when we're either talking to people, getting to know them, vet them, etc. But I also think that this also extends into other ventures of our lives, you know, with friendship and business and, you know, other types of relationships. You know, how does that show up? How do you really get to know someone in their character and how they show up for you, you know, with those three pillars, right? You know, money, power, and sex. You know, one example that I someone once told me was, you know, if somebody cheats like in a game, you know, if they don't do business with them, because if they'll cheat and have no integrity, you know, to win, then when applying the same logic in business, they'll do anything to, you know, screw you over. So you got to be very cognizant of how people posture themselves and how they conduct themselves, even when no one is looking.
How to man or Tyranny, do you guys have anything you wanted to say? I'm about to drop you guys down so we can finish up with the original panel. You guys have anything to add before I drop you down?
No, great panel. Thanks for having me up.
Yeah. Hey man, I just wanted to say to you, my brother, I noticed you was good money with Anton. Anybody that's good money with Anton is generally good money with me. So man, I appreciate you for having me up, and I just wanted to finish up my thoughts by saying I think whenever someone gets power, right, it's not just saying like leaving it at absolute power corrupts absolutely, but also that if this person gets that feeling of that power and can't adapt to it, that could ultimately corrupt them, right? It's not just because you have power you will inherently be corrupt, but if you get power and you know it corrupts you, and then it does it a second time, it does it a third time, now that's a pattern. That's just part of who you are, and you aren't someone that's meant to hold power. And the same thing with holding a woman's womb, right? Like, you know, if you misuse that liberty that woman has given you, that's just a part of who you are. So, you know, to the women, you need to vet who you allow inside you. You need to vet them thoroughly. And to the men, you need to vet who you allow or who you invite into your hegemony, right? Because they have the ability to undermine you and strip you of whatever semblance of power you might have. That's it, G. This is a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you for having me, my brother.
I appreciate you, Hadu, man, and thanks for your insight. All right, panel. Anybody else want to give final thoughts? Want to add to it?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say that in order to have integrity, I think the first thing is that you have to be honest with yourself. You can't be honest with others unless you're honest with yourself first. And so that integrity is always going to come with having frequent self-reflection about your actions, your thoughts, your behavior, all of those things. And then to make a concerted effort to make the adjustments as necessary. Like once, like he was talking about being tested in those areas. I mean, and I do think it's probably more than just, you know, sex or, you know, money or power, but in any area that you're finding that you are frequently being tested in, you need to end up having some of that self-reflection and then make the necessary adjustments if you want to move in or move with integrity and define who you are based on that.
I'm curious about Hank. What you think about the discussion, man?
Man, I don't know, man. Nobody has integrity. That's what it all comes down to, man. 90% of us has no integrity at all. So no, but truth be told, man, we just live. Be a man of your words. That's the main thing I can tell anybody. Be a man of your word. You know, talk about it, be about it. Talk is cheap. Action speaks louder than any words. So,
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for people to really understand what they are doing. I mean, I don't think they even recognize. First, you got to acknowledge what integrity is and how it plays into this world that we live in. I was actually watching something. I won't really disclose what I was watching, but I actually seen the lack of integrity there, and I was like, "Damn, that looked like how I was, or that must have been how I was in that situation." And you just seen how it unfold and how it kind of diminished that person's character. So I think it was just eye opening. Like, man, integrity means a lot. Not only to relationships, but even to the men that look up to you. And so if you don't have good character, so to speak, and we speaking on mainstream, right? Of course, there are some people that may not believe in this and that, but there are a lot of people that follow the same morals to a certain degree. And I think that if you exhibit good character and you have integrity, then a lot more people will follow you. When they discover that you are not the person who you say you are, then I think it's kind of like, damn, like I wasn't expecting that. They just lose faith, lose hope, and then you have to try to climb up out of that hole. So that's why I think a lot of people should understand what integrity is and how important it is. And I don't think it's too late for you to get it. You just may not have been introduced to it. So hopefully this discussion showed a lot. Hopefully it was impactful in your life, and it's never too late to understand integrity and to adopt it into your life if you so choose to be. Same thing with good character. It goes hand in hand. Two different definitions. I get it, but it kind of works simultaneously in different ways, but together. So on that note, we're going to get up out of here. This is part 2 of the stream. Part 1 is posted, is pinned to the top of the chat. So if you want to see this conversation in its entirety, click that link, hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. The hat on JR look like it's made of silk or something. Wow. It has a nice little texture to it, man, like satin, something like that. We had this one super chat generation love $10. We have to allow God to develop in us prayer, speaking to God, and meditation, listening to God, obedience concerning when to act, obedience concerning when to sit still, isolate, and be developed. One of the things I've been taking a lot of time is to improve myself and improve every aspect of my life. So you guys could probably be seeing a little different of me as I'm taking in all this knowledge. It's eye-opening, man. You'd be surprised what it's looking like on the other side. So if you follow me, then it's going to definitely be a journey. And hopefully you'll go ahead and continue the journey with me. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I want to say thank you, panel, for sticking around. Thank the people that has fallen off. I understand we got things to do. It was much needed. Like, share, and subscribe. And we out, family. Thank you.